We saw a really fun story on Reddit earlier this week that we wanted to share with you guys, and it was originally posted by a user named Steamed Bunny. And it goes like this. They went on a road trip with their grandparents who had to go out of town for business, and they ended up getting an Airbnb in this really tall, high rise building. But it was really odd because there were no lights on in any of the other units in the building. It was like it was almost abandoned, and there's only maybe one or two units that were being used. From the moment they stepped inside, they knew something was off because the apartment was very modern, bright, open, but the feeling inside was really dark and heavy and oppressive. The first night there passed quietly, but the next morning they figured out that something was a little bit off. So the granddaughter was staying in the apartment by themselves while the grandparents went out to take care of business. And the one thing they noticed was that they were just disoriented, really, really tired, couldn't stay awake. They'd be sitting watching TV and just fall asleep sitting up. They fell asleep multiple times throughout the day. And after about the third time of falling asleep, they woke up because they heard their grandparents outside of the bedroom door. The problem is that the grandparents' voices didn't sound right. And because they had just woke up, they weren't quite sure what time of day it was. They were like, well, I thought they were supposed to be out doing business. Maybe they came back early. They were just disoriented and they were like, why do I hear my grandparents and why do they sound so funny? The grandmother was going on and on about, you're not acting right and we're going to call the cops and we're so worried about you. Open the door so that we know you're okay, so that we don't call the cops. We're so worried about you. And they kept thinking, but they just don't sound right. But I don't want my grandmother to freak out, so I'll just go ahead and open the door. So they go, they open the door, and there's no one there. The grandparents were not back from business, and they were the only person in the apartment. So I think it's pretty safe to say that there was a mimic in the apartment. Later, when she told the grandmother what happened, the grandma told her that she had actually experienced sleep paralysis the night before. It felt like people were crawling on her and she couldn't move, so she just laid there until eventually the sensation stopped and she ended up just falling asleep again from exhaustion. A few weeks after they left, they were Googling this apartment because they were a little freaked out and they wanted to see if there's any weird stories behind it. And they did find out that there was actually a man who stayed in the Airbnb months prior who had unalived someone, skipped town, and then unalived himself. So their theory is that maybe it was this person that came back and haunted the Airbnb, but regardless, really creepy. And as a reminder, if you do hear a mimic, don't respond. At least that's what everyone says. You're not supposed to respond. What's a good creepy story you've heard this week? We'd love to hear about it.